Hi everyone, I'm Jenna and I'm a consultant here at ClearPoint. This presentation is from our 2018 annual Strategy and Performance Management Summit. So today I will be providing you all with some tips and tricks for managing and organizing your data throughout your entire organization. I'm going to start our training session with showing you a few different aggregation features in ClearPoint, including measure aggregations and status aggregations. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into ClearPoint and get started. All right, so a lot of organizations, including many of you, use ClearPoint to track measures and data across your organization, including at the corporate or city level and at the department level as well. So you're tracking this data at the department level and want to see it rolled up at the organization level. Well, in ClearPoint, you can set up a calculation to automatically aggregate data at the organization level. So for example, if you're tracking your budget for each department, you can automatically sum your budget numbers to the organization level. And if you use an aggregate calculation within ClearPoint, then when you add a new department or split a department in two, you won't need to redo your calculation at the top level as long as you have your parent-child relationships set up correctly in ClearPoint. So my first example today that I'm going to walk through starts with this measure report. So you can see here, we have our budget measure at the corporate level, our aggregate measure here, and then we have a budget measure in our three departments underneath. They're coming from each department's scorecard here. And what we're going to do is sum the actual numbers and the budget values from each department up to that top level aggregate measure. So I'll go ahead and drill into my aggregate measure. We can see our three child measures here that are coming from each department scorecard. And we're going to set up an aggregate calculation that sums the three departments to the top level. So to do this, we're going to start by double-clicking on the name of our series, our actual total series, to open our series edit window. And we'll go to our calculation tab. This looks familiar to you. This is where you would set up a normal calculation in ClearPoint. But what you'll find is that under series calculation type, we have an option for aggregate series. And when you select it, now we have a lot of settings that we can set to create this aggregation. So first, we need to select the scorecards that we're going to pull measures from. And since the budget measures are in each of the child scorecards, we are going to select measures in children of parent. Parent is the scorecard I'm working in right now. Next, we need to tell ClearPoint what measures to pull from. So we are going to say measure name contains, and all of our child measures have the word budget in their name. So I'm going to type that in here, measure name contains budget. And now we need the series name. So I'm going to say series name equals, and each of our child measures, our series name is actual. We have a couple of different aggregate types. I'm going to stick with sum. And then we have the option to ignore blank values or treat blank values as zeros. Ignoring blank values, this comes into play when you're doing an average. So ignoring blank values will mean that a value, if it's blank, is not counted in an average. If we treat our blank values as zeros, all of the blanks will be counted in the average and will be a zero. So I'm going to go ahead and ignore blank values for now. Then I'll click Save, and our measure will create that aggregate calculation. So if I scroll down here, we can see we've aggregated this calculation, the values from our three child scorecards. So I'll go ahead and do the same thing for our budgeted amount, starting by double-clicking on budgeted amount. We'll go to our calculation tab. We'll choose aggregate series. We'll say measures in children of parent. We'll say measure name contains. This one again, the measure name contains budget, but this time we are doing our budgeted amount series. So for series name, I'm going to say budgeted amount instead of actual. We'll stick with a sum, and I'll ignore blank values again. And when I save, that aggregation and calculation will be created for me here. So if we go back to our budget aggregation report, we can see what that looks like. So here Now we have all of our values for our aggregate measure, and you can see it's just a sum of the 3 values below, summing up to that top level number. So that's an example of how you can pull values and aggregations from other scorecards, but you can also create an aggregation that pulls values from the same scorecard. So for example, I have a measure set up here for survey results. So I might have a scorecard just for my survey results with all of our survey measures inside the scorecard. They all have the same series and they all live in the same scorecard. And I've already set up a few of the aggregations, but I'll walk through the 2 that are left. So again, I'll double click on our satisfied series, set this one up. I'll go to our calculation tab and choose aggregate series. This time we can leave it at measures in all scorecards, but we'll select our measures to just be child measures of our aggregate measure survey results. So this is going to pull those 3 survey result measures that I have set as children. We'll leave our series names equals, and this series name is satisfied in all of our child scorecards. I'm going to do a sum again, and I'll go ahead and click Save. And here we can see all of our values populate in our data table. We'll do the same thing for neutral. So same steps, calculation tab, aggregate series, measures in all scorecards. We'll say child measures of aggregate measure survey results, series name equals, and this time we will do neutral. And when we save, we'll see those values update here and then in our chart as well. Another cool calculation that you can set up in ClearPoint is our aggregate status calculation. So this calculation type allows you to count the number of status icons that fit a specific criteria, like element type and color. One reason you might use this is to count the number of initiatives that are red, yellow, or green for a specific period. So let's go ahead and dive in and set one up. I'm going to navigate to my aggregate status measure here. I have some things already set up for us. This calculation counts all of the elements that fit a certain criteria. So I have it set up for below plan and no information already. And it's counting all of the red initiatives in the scorecard. And for no information, it's counting all of the initiatives that are set as no information in the scorecard. So all of our initiatives are linked to this measure just so that we can see our different status icons. So we can see here we have 2 red and 1 blue. If I go down to February of 18, we have 2 red and 1 blue. So we're going to set up the above target series to count the number of initiatives that are in this scorecard that are green. So double click on the above target, go to the calculation tab, and this time under series calculation type, we're going to choose aggregate status. And here we have a few different options. For scorecards, we're going to count the items only in this scorecard. So we'll say specific scorecards, and then we'll select the scorecard that we want to count. So that's my parent scorecard. Next, we're going to select the element type. We're counting initiatives. For elements, we're going to leave it at all elements in this case. And for our status icon, we want to choose above target. Once we've selected all of those, I'll go ahead and click Save. You'll see our chart update right away. And if I go down to our data table, we can see we have 4 green initiatives this period. I'll do the same thing for caution. Go to our calculation tab, select aggregate status. For scorecards, we'll select specific scorecards. We want just the scorecard that we're in, so my parent scorecard. We want to count our initiatives, and then for our status icon, this time we're setting up caution. And if I save, ClearPoint will count that again. And so once you have these aggregations set up, you can definitely look at them in the data table. 4 green, 1 yellow, 2 red, 1 blue. But it's much easier to look at your progress in a chart. like this pie chart we have set up. And we've actually created this chart specifically for aggregate status calculations that you can access from within your account. It's a default chart that's been added. So you can add it straight from the default charts as well. So this is a great way to keep track of your project status in ClearPoint, to count how many measures you have of different status colors in order to create a dashboard or something similar. So I hope you've learned some things in these trainings. Let us know if you have any questions. Feel free to reach out to support@clearpointstrategy.com, and happy reporting.